vets want to have you in 1, 2, sometimes even 3 times a year because, oh, this vaccine's due here, this vaccine's due here. You can line up your vaccine schedule. I know this might not sit well with a lot of vets, but you can line up your vaccine schedule so you're just doing that one yearly visit. You can either go in early and ask for the vaccines early so that they all sync up. It is not dangerous to do that. We've done that many, many times throughout my career. So it can be done. Just say, hey, let's get that done now. So I'm not coming back for another visit, paying for another exam fee, and then paying for one vaccine. Just get all your vaccines lined up for one date yearly and just be assertive to your vet. No, that's what I want to do.
Thank you for that tip, because streamlining it and grouping them together, if it's not a buildup of all these additional exam fees, I mean,
Absolutely.
we love our pets, but money is money.
Welcome to CooLife Podcast, brought to you by therealthingdating.com. www.therealthingdating.com. I'm Eva John. I'm a former candidate for local government. I was a children's television entertainer, and I love this world, and I believe we should take care of each other and have a lot of fun along the way. Welcome to CooLife. Here we go.
And welcome to CooLife Podcast. I'm Eva John, and today we are starting our 4-part series with Dawn Drake, veterinary technician. Dawn, welcome.
Thanks, Eva. Good to be back.
It's wonderful to have you back here. Dawn, for people who want to get in touch with you with questions about their pet's care and health, what email address should we be using, please?
It's AnimalCareWithDawn at hotmail.com.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Dawn, it's such an important subject for pet owners. There are so many people who draw a lot of their comfort and stability from the relationship they have with their pets. And they put their pets' needs first, but sometimes people are just not aware. And this is an opportunity for people who love their pets to be more informed. So I'm really thrilled that we can do this together.
Absolutely.
Now, can you tell me, from your experience as a veterinary technician, what are some of the most common issues you see occur with pets that a pet owner might overlook until it becomes a serious problem?
Well, the biggest issue that pet owners don't realize is happening, especially in small dogs, is dental issues. Dental issues can lead to so many health issues. If you get infection, it can get into the bloodstream, affect the heart, the liver, the kidneys, and even getting a dental 1 year and then not realizing it, thinking that was okay to leave it for years. It really isn't. Small dog teeth, unless you're caring for them daily by brushing them, using different products to keep their teeth clean, then these issues can go unnoticed. And actually, being a vet tech, I just had this happen to myself with my small dog. And I didn't realize that in between dentals, 2 years, how bad and horrific the dental issues can get.
Well, that's really something to keep an eye on. And I'm sorry you went through that with your pet. And 2 years doesn't seem like a long span of time, when in
Yeah,
fact it made a difference, didn't it?
yes, absolutely.
Now, for pet owners who are certain that they are taking precautions and they're doing things correctly, are there some warning signs that they can watch out for that their pets may not be doing as well as they think?
There's so many signs to look out for when your pet is aging. And a lot of people make the mistake of, oh, well, they're just getting older, so they're slowing down. When in fact, just like people, as we age, we can develop things like diabetes, we can develop thyroid issues. So things to look out for would be, them not eating. That can indicate dental issues. They're not wanting to eat their kibble. They're only eating certain foods and picking at softer foods. That's a huge indication that there's a dental problem. If your pet is just lying around, normally a very active pet, there could be so many different issues going on. Best to get checked out, as well as if you just think your pet's off. If it goes on for more than a week, definitely need to get some blood work done. Blood work can indicate a lot of things, and you don't have to do everything all at once. If the vet recommends like 10 different things, start with blood work. Blood work can indicate a lot of different issues that could just be a reason that you don't have to do the other tests, that could just give you the information that you need.
That's a good tip for sure. Dawn, preventative care is something that is discussed quite often, but it isn't necessarily understood hands-on from a pet owner. What does good preventative care look like for a dog or cat?
Keeping up on their vaccines are very important, and preventatives like heartworm medication, flea and tick medication. I actually just had an experience where when Kevin, the dog that I adopted from the Dominican Republic, flew to Canada, I was under the assumption that everything was good, but he was showing the signs and symptoms that I did talk about. He was very, very lethargic, not wanting to eat. He did have vomiting and diarrhea, which is a huge sign to look out for too. So I contributed to the flight, him leaving from a warm temperature to a cold temperature. And I let this go on for about 3 or 4 days before I was like, no, there is something more going on here. So I took him to the vet. I had a test called a 4DX test done. That tests for 4 different issues: heartworm disease, Lyme disease, anaplasmosis, and Ehrlichia. But he ended up having 2 out of those 4 diseases.
Oh,
If I would have just passed it off as, oh, he left the Dominican, he was depressed, he wasn't eating, things like that, then I could have potentially risked his life. Catching these diseases early, which are spread by ticks, is very essential. But you if you use prevention, if you go get your vaccines, then a lot of these issues you don't have to worry about. So in the Dominican Republic, they don't use a lot of prevention. So, but we do here. So it's very, very important to keep up on your prevention to avoid these diseases altogether.
fantastic. Thank you for that good tip. And just like a little follow up on this. Now, we do hear about heartworm. Does that happen with cats as frequently as dogs? You don't hear about.
No. So there are schools of thought where they're starting to recommend treating for your cat, but for years we have not recommended it because it's just not that prevalent in cats. Outdoor cats would come down with it more easily than indoor cats. A lot of these diseases that I'm talking about are spread by ticks or mosquitoes. Heartworm is spread by mosquitoes. So if your outdoor cat is in an area, he goes in like swamp areas where they're infested with mosquitoes and he had a high burden of bites, that could possibly happen. And we have seen it happen in cats, but just not as much as in dogs.
Good to know. And with that, we'll take our break to talk about our sponsors and supporters. And please remember to write to us here at CooLife. You can comment on the posts as well as by writing info@CooLifeWorld.com. That's info@COOLIFE world.com. and we will read your comments on a future show. We'll take our break to talk about our sponsors and supporters. We'll be back with more pet care talk with Dawn Drake on Cool Life Podcast.
Spiritual Warfare Prayers by John Evans, $13.99 US, available on Amazon. Link in the description. Putting on the spiritual armaments to thrive in this world. These are fresh prayers for today's world. $13.99 US, available on Amazon. See the link in the description. Spiritual Warfare Prayers. Becoming the Small Business Billionaire by Russell T. Dalton. Available on Amazon. Link in the description. $13.95 US. This is your guide to the possibility of making your dreams of generational wealth come true through small business ownership. Change your life and the lives of those you care for. Those lonely days of lockdowns and isolation are gone for good. Go to www.therealthingdating.com. That's www.therealthingdating.com. It's time to share. Share your time, share your life, share your love. www.therealthingdating.com. Join for free. Upgrade at any time, starting at just $5.99 a month. www.therealthingdating.com. Because it's time. You're listening to the Cool Life Podcast. We'll be back in 3, 2, 1.
And we are back on Cool Life Podcast. I'm Eva John, continuing my conversation with Dawn Drake, veterinary technician. Dawn, this is a time for so many options and choices for nutrition, for different types of food and feeds for our pets. And with all these different options, and then there's all these rumors that we hear about some good, healthy brands that we know that are actually toxic. How does a pet owner navigate what is the right food choice for their dogs or cats?
Yeah, it is very difficult because if you walk into a pet food store, you literally have hundreds of choices in some stores. So it can be very overwhelming. So the first thing to consider when choosing a food for your pet, does your pet have any issues? If it does have issues like especially itchiness, a lot of dogs have food allergies nowadays, then it would be best to consult a professional before deciding on what type of food to give your dog if they suffer from particular issues. Now, if you have an adult dog with no health issues, then the best thing to do is to get a food with less additives. The more money you spend, the less health issues you're going to have. I know a lot of people are like, okay, well, I'm just going to buy this Old Roy or this Friskas or these Whiskas for my cat. But lower grade foods like that, that's just like us going to McDonald's and eating junk food every day. So
Right.
that in itself can create a lot of health issues. So choosing a higher quality food with less additives, very, very important.
Now, just a follow up on this. If someone's working with a budget, if there's just, you don't know, you guys had twins and you weren't expecting to have twins, but you still have your pets and you've just got to spread
Right.
those dollars a little thinner. If they're going to have to choose as a pet owner a way to budget what they're getting for their pets to eat and still make a healthy choice, what's the best direction for them to aim?
You know what? I just got the dog I just got from Dominican does have those two tick-borne diseases, but he is healthy other than that, and he is recovering from those diseases. But he other than that, he will be a healthy adult male dog. So I chose to even go with the Kirkland lamb and rice. Kirkland makes a good food. You can get it from Costco. It is because you're getting it from Costco, it comes in bigger bags. The bigger bags that you buy, the more savings you get. So, you don't need to running to get a vet food or running to, PetSmart to pick the newest fad that they have out there for your dog. Just a good quality food with not so many additives. That's a good decision. So, and if you do have questions, some vets will, they're not all out there to promote vet food. Honestly, if you ask a vet, if you have a healthy dog, they do have lists of foods that are acceptable.
Right. It's good to know. Now, going back to dental health that we had mentioned a little bit earlier, and the fact that it is often overlooked. On the scale where you would say compared to other issues like stomach issues or seeing if your dog is walking wobbly, like between say 1 and 10, how high up on the scale would you say dental issues are for pets?
They're pretty high up, but obviously, if you have a vomiting and diarrhea dog, that's an emergency.
Right.
That's something that you can't wait. You need to get into ASAP. Where dental issues are kind of like us, right? We have a toothache, can't get into the dentist for a month. We're not going to die, but we need to have it dealt with before it does become a major health issue and get into our bloodstream and
Mm,
do the pre-mentioned damage to your heart, liver, kidneys, things like that. But obviously, teeth are not, oh, I need to run to the emergency room tonight to have it dealt with.
mm,
Unless there was an accident and, there was a tooth broken, there's pulp exposed that's going to cause pain for the pet, then that would be emergency. My dog, Karma, who just had the dental, she had a tooth that was actually, you could lift up part of it.
oh,
So me, myself, being a mom, not a vet tech at that time, thought that was an emergency and I should get her in right away. Where the vet was like, no, let's wait, get her blood work done, and then we can do that next week. Just feed her soft food. So, again, very important to get it dealt with, but is it something you need to run to that day? Absolutely not. But you do need to keep on top of these things. The more you keep on top of these things, the less money you're going to have to spend in dentals. And one good hint for keeping a dog's teeth clean, because I know people have busy lives. Dogs don't just sit there so you can brush their teeth.
nope.
It's nice if you had a puppy or a cat and you could train them from like the time they were a little, pup or kitten, then that would be great. But if you don't, effective bones are so effective for keeping teeth clean. Have you ever see a coyote or a wolf in the wild with, an abscessed tooth? No, and it's because they chew on bones and bones do clean their teeth. So, something as easy as getting them a treat would be a great way to keep their teeth clean.
Good to
Just
know.
choose the appropriate bones. And when you go to your pet store, they do have the appropriate bones there for the size of your dog as well.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Now, for the issue of dental care and the fact that, yes, there are times when you realize that this is not a today emergency right now, that dental care has to be looked into. But you touched on some of the consequences of not having good dental care, like affecting the going into the bloodstream, affecting organs. What are some of the other consequences that can happen as a result of failed dental care or not having a timely dental care?
So the teeth can abscess, and they can even abscess so bad that they create something called a fistula. And a fistula is pretty much infection from the tooth needing to escape someplace. So the body actually makes a hole in the face for the pus and the infection to drain out of. Once we get to that point, it's it's more than an emergency. And some dogs don't even recover because the fistula has opened up in their face and the wound won't close. So
Oh,
that would be absolutely something that could happen. Pain. Animals feel pain just like we do. Everybody's had a toothache and knows what mouth pain feels like. And we love our pets, so we don't want them to suffer. So, that's a important reason. Just love
right.
to take care of your pet's teeth.
Of course. Some good, important wisdom about dental care and dental health for pets. We'll take another break right now to talk about our sponsors and supporters. We'll be back with Dawn Drake on Cool Life Podcast. Spiritual Warfare Prayers by John Evans, $13.99 US, available on Amazon. Link in the description. Putting on the spiritual armaments to thrive in this world. These are fresh prayers for today's world. $13.99 US, available on Amazon. See the link in the description. Spiritual Warfare Prayers. Becoming the Small Business Billionaire by Russell T. Dalton. Available on Amazon. Link in the description. $13.95 US. This is your guide to the possibility of making your dreams of generational wealth come true through small business ownership. Change your life and the lives of those you care for. Those lonely days of lockdowns and isolation are gone for good. Go to www.therealthingdating.com. That's www.therealthingdating.com. It's time to share. Share your time, share your life, share your love. www.therealthingdating.com. Join for free. Upgrade at any time, starting at just $5.99 a month. www.therealthingdating.com. Because it's time. This is CooLife Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to CooLife on your streaming service and on YouTube as Hellenique Today. That's HELENIQUE Today. Because that helps us to bring more cool stuff to your ears. You're listening to the CooLife Podcast. We'll be right back. And we are back on Cool Life Podcast. I'm Eva John, continuing my conversation with Dawn Drake, veterinary technician. Dawn, can you explain the importance of vaccines? We touched on those as well a little earlier, but what are the realistic timelines for scheduling vaccines for cats and dogs?
So for puppies and kittens, there are 3 sets of vaccines. After the first year is the worst, right? You have to do 3 sets of vaccines, you have to spay and neuter. So people can get overwhelmed with puppies and kittens. That's why sometimes rescuing a dog, they come vaccinated, spayed and neuter, is so much better. And rescue dogs are so grateful. But back to vaccines. So rabies is due by law. Now, depending on where you live, you do the research in the area. Do I have leptospirosis in this area? Unfortunately, we have Lyme disease everywhere in Canada, and it's actually becoming a worldwide problem now. So, very important to protect against Lyme disease. And then the other 2 tick diseases. that I mentioned as well. So that's why it's important for protection. But you should get fully vaccinated, but sometimes your vaccine schedule gets out of whack and vets want to have you in one, two, sometimes even three times a year because, oh, this vaccine's due here, this vaccine's due here, this vaccine's due here. You can line up your vaccine schedule. I know this might not sit well with a lot of vets, but you can line up your vaccine schedule so you're just doing that one yearly visit. You can either go in early and ask for the vaccines early so that they all sync up. It is not dangerous to do that. We've done that many, many times throughout my career in every vet I've worked for. So it can be done. So just try to do your research, lessen your visits for the vaccines. Oh, if your Bordetella is due, which is kennel cough 1 month later, just say, hey, let's get that done now. So I'm not coming back for another visit, paying for another exam fee, and then paying for one vaccine. Just get all your vaccines lined up for one date yearly and just be assertive to your vet. No, that's what I want to do. I want one yearly visit for my vaccines.
Thank you for that tip because streamlining it and grouping them together, if it's not a buildup of all these additional exam fees, I mean, we,
Absolutely.
we love our pets, but money is money all the
Yeah.
time, not just sometimes, right? So,
Yeah.
good tip. Now, something that comes up with pets, parasites, it's something that we don't really necessarily notice. You don't just look at a dog, look at a cat and say, "Oh, I think they've got parasites." Now, there are some risks involved. Can you tell me what are some of the risks and what are some of the preventions when it comes down to parasites?
So, a lot of times, if your pet does have parasites, like you said, you won't see them. You will see them once they've got so many in them that they just have to start coming out of
Oh,
different orifices. They might vomit them out. They might have a bowel movement and have worms in them. That's obviously a definite indicator. But some worms you never see because the worms live in the body and all they do is shed in the feces is eggs, which are passed on to other species, animals, dogs, cats, other species in the wild. So it's good to deworm your pet. I like to during the summer with my heartworm prevention, I get something called Heart Guard, which there are a lot of expensive products out there, but you can get your prevention without having to spend the top of the line. Let's say comparing cars like your Cadillac, you can get lower cost that are just as effective. So for my heartworm protection, which also covers internal parasites, during the hot months, I generally do it 8 months a year. I treat them with Heart Guard that deworms them once a month. If you're not using prevention, you should at least go to your vet and get some dewormer and deworm them twice a year because what you don't see can hurt you. And it can be transmitted to you, especially households that have children where they're touching their mouth, they're touching the pet, and then they're touching their face. So it can be passed on from pet to human, and that is a concern because it can cause health issues in humans as well. So either doing like I expressed, treatment is very important. So HeartGuard covers heartworm and internal parasites. Then for flea protection, I use something called Brevecto, which is you apply it once and it lasts for 3 months. So those two combinations work for me, and it is lesser than some of your Cadillac products that, you give one pill and it does like five different things.
right.
But the price is very expensive. And unfortunately, we're living in a world, like you said, that is money driven. And the companies producing these products have raised the prices since the pandemic for sure.
Well, thank you for that direction on some of the options for helping to combat parasites in our pets. And for a pet owner who wants to make a change, an improvement in their pet's life today, what are three simple activities that can be done there for their plan of action, their strategy for their dogs and for their cats?
Well, exercise is very important, especially for dogs, but cats as well. It I know traditionally cats don't go on chains and walk. Some of them do. If you can get your cat in a harness and walk it, more power to you. If you can't, you can play with your cat with different toys, laser pointers, like they have those poles with the toys that you can string around. That's good exercise for them. Dogs, walking dogs, especially in the summertime, so not only they're getting that exercise, they're getting mental stimulation. Oh, look at that bird, look at that squirrel, oh, what's that. So it's mentally stimulates them as well. Animals are just like us. They get bored. And when we get bored, we get depressed, we get sad. So, mental stimulation, exercise, very important. And not feeding a lot of foods with additives, junk foods, junk treats. That also helps improve a pet's life just because I don't know if you've ever gone to, like, let's say I won't pick on anybody in particular, but one of the fast food chains and had, a burger combo or something, and then you come home and you just bloated, you don't feel well. Same thing with pets. Nutrition can also affect their mental health as well. So, those are three great things to do: exercise, mental stimulation. You can mentally stimulate a dog with toys as well, throwing a ball, playing with toys. I try to, grab a toy and get on the floor daily to stimulate my dogs to play with toys and for a little mental stimulation. So those are three great things to offer your dog a higher quality of life for sure.
Those are good tips, and I'll confess, I got my cat one of those. I call it her Olympic pool. They have these little plastic things that you fill with water, and it's clear, and it's got like little fish and things, and they're supposed to go nuts grabbing at
Oh,
them. And it's like, no,
yeah.
I placed her on it. She wondered why it moved. Put her on it a few times. I like try to encourage her to jump down on it, and it's like, yeah, no, that is not working for her. I don't know what they did to the cats in the commercials for that. They were just going crazy digging at them. But you gotta know what your pet
you know,
likes.
some Exactly, and it's trial and error, and sometimes, like, the dollar store toys work just as effective. A laser pointer, a ball with a bell or a feather on it. Sometimes those work even better. So, and it's just trial and error. See what stimulates your pet and going with that.
For sure.
But
Well,
catios for cats are
right.
very mentally stimulating. If your cat gets to, like, sit in a catio outside and just take in the outdoors, the birds, the wildlife, that's very stimulating for them too. So if your cat would be one of those that would let you get them safely into a catio outside to just take in, Mother Nature, fresh air, that would be a good thing for a cat to stimulate them as well.
I think I like the idea of a catio a little bit more than our Olympic pool. And
I think
it-
it might go over a little bit better.
I think so. Well, Don, it was a pleasure to go through these interesting points of pet care and health concerns for pets. And for now, we are at the end of part one of our conversation. And Don, for people who want to get in touch with you once again with their questions about their pets and pet care, how should they be contacting you?
Through my email address, AnimalCareWithDawn@hotmail.com.
Thank you so much. And please keep an eye out for the additional parts 2, 3, and 4 for this interview with Don Drake. Until next time, I'm Eva John for Cool Life Podcast. Bye.
And that was our show. Thank you for listening to the very end. Please remember to subscribe through your streaming service to get more access to our guest interviews. Also, please subscribe on YouTube to help support our podcast. Until next time, I'm Eva John for Cool Life Podcast. Thank you for turning me on.